It's Hughezy, hello, and welcome to episode 11 of It's Hughezy, hello. Today we've got comedian Dave Landau, better known from the Anthony Cumia show. And also we've got a discussion about the most 50-50 band of all time, Bon Jovi. But before that, plugs. If you're watching this show on YouTube, don't forget to check out the version on iTunes. If you're on iTunes, don't forget to search for It's Hughezy, hello on YouTube. They're two totally different versions of the show. The YouTube one is, of course, heavily censored. The iTunes one, where I say what I want, and there's nothing censored out at all. But don't forget also, the show has a Patreon. If you want to support the show, you're very welcome to donate. But also on Patreon, we've got the full, entire, uncut, unedited interviews with guests. The unedited Dave Landau one is up there right now. And that's right, it's even good stuff in it that wasn't in the iTunes version. So don't be afraid to click on that. And also don't be afraid to find me on social media. I'm at the Hughezy on Twitter. I'm at the Hughezy on Instagram. And don't forget to also check out the Creative Control Network on iTunes. There's a whole bunch of great shows on there. We've got World Through My Eyes by David Radigan. We've got The Hambone Show. We've got What a Rush podcast with Animal from Legion of Doom. That's right, Animal is my co-worker. And of course, we've got Creative Control itself, featuring the Boss Man, Joe Feeney. And speaking of which, make sure you check out the official Keeping It 100 YouTube page, which I edit for, which uploads classic and new clips on a daily basis. And by daily, I mean usually every 2 days. So that's the plugs, but as I say, I was talking about Bon Jovi, and the interesting thing about Bon Jovi is, out of every band in the world, and I've thought about this, no band has song titles where the word "no" fits in to the titles easier than Bon Jovi do. And if you don't believe me, I've got the greatest hits here, and I'm going to look at some of the examples. Well, here we go. Lay your knock on me. You give not a bad name. Knock of roses. Knock of glory, in these knock medicine, in and out of knock. I never say knock. Now, if you think I'm going to stop there, don't worry, because there's an updated greatest hits, and I'm going to check out those names now. Let's see. You got It's My knock, Have a Nice knock, I'll Be There for knock. I think I might have said that. Born to Be My knock, When knock were beautiful. These knock. You want to make a knock? Oh God. Blood on knock. I'm sorry, that is gross. Thank You for Loving knock. And of course, if you think of the hit single from the most recent album, this knock is not for sale. Now, of course, if you're watching this on YouTube, this was heavily edited, but if you click on the iTunes download, you're going to be able to hear the uncensored version of this segment and of all the interviews. And plus, who doesn't want to hear an Irish person say knock? So it's time for the Bon Jovi talk. Hello. Okay, so James, welcome to the podcast.
Cheers.
And of course, you run the Bon Jovi Talk channel on Twitter.
I do, yeah. I've been a fan since I was 7 years of age. My brother got into them quite early as well, and then obviously just listening to them, I got into them a lot, and ever since then I've been a huge fan. They've always been my number one band, and now I'm a huge fan of them. Like,
see, the thing about Bon Jovi for me, and it's weird because I do love them, and I am going to go see this tour coming up. For me, pretty much after these days,
yeah,
I didn't like any new stuff they did.
Yeah, I must admit there has been a massive dip, and you'll see in my favourite songs, a lot of them are, in fact most of them are before 2000, but there's still something, even on the worst day I still prefer them to a lot of other bands, and that could be me being biased. There's just something that stayed with me with them.
What do you think's the deal with the fact that they've actually done more albums since 2000 than they did throughout the whole 80s and 90s?
One, I think it's money. As bad as that sounds, I think John, especially these days, is very money oriented. He loves money, which is a shame, because I think that the passion for the music has dipped a little bit from him. And I think because they have to kind of release an album for a tour. I think they know the money is with touring now. So they're just kind of touring as much as possible to get extra income, I think.
Yeah, I mean, probably, like, if I was in his position, I would do it. But for me, I don't understand what it would be like to already be really rich, to then want to start earning triple that.
Yeah. I think it sometimes just gets to people's head, I think, unfortunately. And I do think the older he's getting, I think the less he cares about the product, you know, the output of the music, and more about just kind of doing as many shows as possible and getting some money in. But I could be totally wrong there. That's just my opinion on that.
But then again, the people are buying the tickets and going to see them live and having a great time. So
exactly, yeah, that's it. And I think it'll be interesting to see what happens this tour. Obviously, this will be the first UK tour that's gone on sale before Richie left. So it'll be interesting to see how ticket sales do without him. And obviously, they haven't had an album here in 2 years now already. So there's got to be something coming up for the album, for the tour, to have a little bit of support, I think.
But it's funny you mention that, because I have a godmother who is a concert promoter over here, and she told me that the tour dates were supposed to be announced at the end of September, and for some reason nothing came out.
Yeah, I've heard that it's going to be on Friday, but again, that's just a rumor. I heard obviously it was meant to be last month, and there was nothing. So I don't know what it is. I don't know, you know, have other bands or other musicians kind of being offered a bit more money to certain venues. I don't know. I just kind of hope that they play Anfield, to be honest with you.
That's I've heard they're doing, what would I call that one in Wales, Millennium Stadium?
Oh yeah, really? Yeah.
Because that's like this enormous venue that never gets used, that it holds like 90,000.
Yeah, it's massive. That I'd be surprised if they do, to be honest with you. I know that Croke Park pretty much got announced in it the other day, but I'd be surprised if Millennium Stadium's announced. That's a bit of a shock, that one.
I think they're doing one in each city, apart from Northern Ireland. That never gets fucking nothing.
Yeah, maybe. I'd be very surprised. Which, if that's the case, then I can't see Anfield getting used if they're playing such big venues like that.
Probably, but then see, John Bon Jovi, I love him, but he's got that cheese factor about him.
Oh yeah, he has.
And if he goes to Anfield, he's going to talk about the Beatles all the gig. And
that's true. Yeah.
He'll play more Beatles covers than he will Bon Jovi hits.
Yeah, that wouldn't be a surprise, to be honest with you. That's a good point. And obviously they haven't played a proper show. Obviously they done the Royal Variety, didn't they, in 2007, 2008. But apart from that, I don't think they've played here since the Slippery tour. So it will be interesting.
And do you think that they're going to be releasing a new album? Because I've seen you tweeted a photo of them, which seemed like John Bon Jovi in the studio.
Yeah, somebody made a good point. It could just be rehearsals for the tour, because obviously they're playing Australia, aren't they, in just over a month. So it could just be rehearsals. But I know at one of them Q&A events he did say that he hopes to have a bit of music coming out, another album coming out in support with the tour, but you just kind of got to see, I think.
And just before we get to the top fives, do you think Bon Jovi, for real, are the best band for Christmas songs?
For Christmas songs? In terms of what?
I think that their version of Please Come Home for Christmas, that's maybe my favourite Christmas song, and I'm an Irish person wearing a you know.
Probably not. I mean, I don't mind Please Come Home for Christmas. I preferred I Wish Every Day Could Be Like Christmas. I prefer that. And I quite like his version of what was the song called? Baby Please Come Home.
Yeah.
I really enjoyed this version of that, but I do like me Christmas songs, so there's a few more above Bon Jovi.
That's right, because I'm trying to stay off the booze until the middle of November, because I'm in a training routine
Right.
So that because I always gain at least £40 at Christmas.
Wow.
My record was 3 stone.
Really? Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
Just
See,
because every day I was having a burger and eating from the selection box thing and going for beers and.
Well, obviously, I don't know if you've seen at the end of me, my email was PT, so I'm a personal trainer anyway. So that's crazy. That.
That's the best and worst thing about me is that I could gain weight like that.
Yeah.
But I can lose weight like a moose.
Yeah, I'm quite lucky in that sense. It's quite hard for me to put weight on, really. But I don't know whether that's just because of training as well, to be honest with you.
Let's move into the top fives. There, have you got your top five list?
Yeah, I've got what I could come up with. Yeah, I'll be honest with you, right? This changes a lot, a lot. And you know what? Like it's mad how many demos or B-sides or just unreleased tracks that like pop into your head because there's so many that they've left off that should have been on albums and should be played live, in my opinion. So that was hard to not put some of them in as well. Really, I tried to keep it to official tracks.
Yeah, that's the thing about me with Bon Jovi is that we were talking about it in the pub on the weekend, and they're without a doubt the most 50-50 band of all time. You either love it or you hate it. You never think it's all right.
Yeah, I agree with you there. Whenever you mention Bon Jovi to someone, you either get a really bad response or a very positive one. It's never really. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? It's kind of. I agree with you there. It is 50-50 with Bon Jovi.
So what have you got in at number 5?
Okay, number 5, I have Love's the Only Rule.
What album's that of?
Off the Circle.
Oh, yeah.
It just straight away, it got me. It was obviously John's vocals got me because obviously he had that kind of dip, hadn't he, in his vocals. And I remember after the 2008 tour when he started playing a couple of rare songs and getting his voice back, I was wondering how he'd sound again in the studio. And when I heard that, it blew me away. And Tico's drumming is just unbelievable on it. But what makes it even better for me is how well it goes across live. I've only ever heard it once in person live, but it blew me away even then. It's just one of them songs that got me straight away, to be honest with you.
Well, my number 5, I'm going to go with, and I know I said that I'm not a big fan of the modern stuff, but I'm going with This House Is Not For Sale.
Wow, really?
Yeah. You see, at the time, I'm a massive Bruce Springsteen diehard fan.
Okay.
And there's been rumors for about the last 2 or 3 years. Oh, this year the new album's coming, and this year it's coming.
Yeah.
This House Is Not For Sale. Come on, and I heard it was on the radio, and all I heard was like no from New Jersey, and I was like, it's Bruce. And I'm listening to the song, and I'm thinking, well, it doesn't sound like his voice, but this song is class. And then at the end of it, the DJ says, and that was the new one by Bon Jovi, and I was like, what? I haven't liked the song there in about 20 years. And so that song sort of reignited my fandom for Bon Jovi.
Wow, that's interesting. I must admit, I think This House Is Not For Sale, the song and the album are very underrated personally. But I've always liked the single. I heard it obviously first on radio as well. I think it might have been BBC Radio 2. They played it first, and there was just something about it. It kind of reminded me of, kind of the typical Bon Jovi single, which in some ways isn't great, but it just got again. It got me excited, I think.
Yeah, because it's stuff like this one and Who Says You Can't Go Home. I tend to mix up quite a lot.
See, I'm not really a fan of Who Says You Can't Go Home. That's one that, really not a fan of it. And again, I think that comes down to when they've played it live, just how many times John has to shout it's all right. I think it just drains me listening to it now. I think it's just being overplayed, unfortunately.
And that era was his shittest hair of all time.
2000, do you think so? They Have a Nice Day era.
He looked like a slutty teacher.
I must admit I wasn't a fan either. I think 2008 I liked when he kind of went back to brown hair.
Mm.
Yeah, I didn't mind that look. I thought he looked a bit younger again. But yeah, I'm not a fan of the grey hair, I must admit.
What have you got in there at number 4?
Okay, number 4, I've got Damned,
Mm.
the These Days album. Again, just he kind of gets you going. Very, very catchy. You know, the riff, the solo, John's vocals of like just in 1995 in general were just unbelievable. And it's one song. Well, there's a few songs, but that's one song that I would absolutely love to hear live. It's one song I've never heard live.
Yeah, I've never heard that live. I was actually watching the other day. I was watching the Live from Wembley show. You know, from These Days tour, and they played fairly little from These Days at it.
Yeah, they did, to be fair. But I think that kind of combined with the Crossroads album as well, didn't it? It was kind of like a joint thing in some ways. But they did play quite little from it, really. But I think it's that album, These Days album in general, is just an absolute masterpiece for me.
Yeah, it's probably the one I like the best.
Yeah, there's it just from start to finish. It's like, Hey God as an opener is incredible.
For my number 4, I'm gonna have to go with the classic and sort of played out, but still brilliant. Lay Your Hands on Me.
Oh yeah, great song, absolutely brilliant song.
I love the bit that in the lyrics when he says, you know, you want to really free your body, you got to free your mind, and it's like, well, how would you know? Because he keeps talking about the fact that he's never taken drugs.
Yeah. I think Lay Your Hands on Me is a great song, and I'm glad that it's been put back into the set list recently. So I'm hoping if they do tour the UK, which obviously looks likely, that's one song. Again, I haven't heard Lay Your Hands on Me live either, to be honest with you. I went to a show in 2011, was it? No, 2010, and they played it the night after I went, which was disappointing. That was one song I'd like to have heard live.
What did you think of the Dolly Parton cover?
Oh, geez, no. No, I'm not a fan.
By the way, what did you think of the One Wild Night live album?
Do you know what? It has a couple of... I think it was just badly produced, really. They could have chose so many better things, and I don't know. Again, was that kind of just to get them? Was that the start of the money factor? Let's release it, a live CD, and let's tour it, and then we'll release an album the next year, a studio album, because we haven't released one in 2 years. I don't know whether it was just a money type of thing for that. I don't know. I'm not a huge fan of that album, really. I can't remember the last time I listened to it, to be honest with you. The only song I do listen to on it is Something to Believe In. That performance blows me away every time.
What did you in there, number 3?
Number 3, I have got Hey God.
Ah, yes.
So again, as I said before, just a fantastic opener. A real like a rock song for Bon Jovi. I know they're a rock band, but that's one where I always remember going to what was called a record fair, and I must have been about 7 or 8, and that single was there for about £2, and my brother was saying to me, "Oh, you won't like it; it's too rocky." And obviously at 8 years old, it was quite rocky, but it blew me away from the start. It was just unbelievable, and I appreciate it more now than I did then. So that's definitely in my top 5.
I'd love it if Bon Jovi sort of went back to that kind of These Days sound.
Yeah, you and me both. I can't see it anymore. I kind of think John's pretty much forgot how to write a rock song, like a real rock song, if I'm honest. A lot of it's kind of radio friendly now, isn't it? Which is a shame, because let's be honest, they're not even on the radio anymore. So
yeah, and the thing that's one of the things that kind of worried me a bit is that for the This House Is Not For Sale tour, he announced it on Ellen, and it's likely because he's back on that newsreader. I would call her Kate Burley or something like that.
Really, yeah, on Sky News.
Apparently, the tour is going to be announced on her show.
Yeah.
You just think, what are you doing? You're John Bon Jovi. What are you doing in these daytime TV shows?
Yeah, and that's kind of like, I must admit, that was the first interview in a while where I was so bored watching it because there was no music talk. It was all politics. You know, it was just it was everything but what I wanted to hear, really. And that was a shame that chat show, I must admit.
For my number 3, I'm going to go with Raise Your Hands from Slippery When Wet.
Yeah.
This is one of these ones that, because I never got the Slippery When Wet album, but there's this class gig they did at the New Jersey Stadium.
Okay.
And it was televised, and I think this was the opening song or the second song they played.
Yeah.
And it just, it was amazing how much energy it had. And this made you think, like, these guys, despite David Bryan's fucking hair, this guy knows how to play the piano, you know?
Oh, God, yeah. I do like Raise Your Hands, and again, doesn't half get the crowd going every single time. So to me, I know a lot of people say it's overplayed. I think it's one that should stay in the set list because it's just great. It's just again, it's a catchy song. It is a rock song. Gets you going, and I think the crowd, every person in the crowd gets into it, which kind of is lacking lately, I think. So I think that should stay in the set list.
And I think as well that the thing, but it's also, it gets knocked a little because it's when John Bon Jovi's trying to do his best Bruce Springsteen impression.
In what way? I see. Do you know what? Even though I'm Bon Jovi, I've never really listened to much Bruce Springsteen, to be honest with you.
Oh my God!
Honestly, but every song that I have heard, I've always liked. It's just, I don't know what it is. My uncle was a really big fan of Bruce Springsteen, and at his funeral, they played "Waiting on a Sunny Day," which I absolutely love. From then. But I've never listened to a Springsteen album.
Well, when this is all edited and uploaded to iTunes, there was an episode, I think it was like the third one, where in one segment we did a Bruce Springsteen top 5. So I would say maybe if you're a drinker, just to chill out and listen to that one for about 40 minutes.
Yeah, I think I might. He is an artist that I'll have to start listening to, I must admit, because even live, some of the performances I've seen from him live are amazing. And obviously he does like 3.5 hours almost every night, doesn't he?
Yeah, but that's a tough thing because they don't sell. Because if you go to Bruce Springsteen gigs, if you go to buy like a beer or whatever,
it's
like triple the price because nobody's buying them.
Wow.
Nobody can hold on to a piss for 3.5 hours.
That's a good point.
What have you got at number 2 there?
At number 2, I've got Something to Believe In. Again, another These Days song, so shows just how much I like the album. Again, one of them songs, and it's mad to eat the 3 songs because I've chosen 3. The 3 songs that I've chosen for this top 5 that are from These Days, I haven't heard live, so maybe that's got something to do with it. Maybe I need to listen to them live in person, and I won't like them or something. But that I just think that song just, again, the vocals, the drums, like the passion in it, the songwriting is just all around such a fantastic song.
Do you think Bon Jovi were maybe at their best during the 90s? Or
I do, to be honest with you. I mean, don't get me wrong, I love the 80s and I thought they were amazing live in the 80s. But the Keep the Faith album, obviously the extra tracks on the Crossroads album, and then These Days was just absolutely amazing. And to be honest with you, I even love John's solo album, Destination Anywhere. That was kind of, I mean, you can't tell the difference from, you know, what was the band and obviously what was John on his own, but I kind of think that changed the band sound as well, in all honesty, Destination Anywhere.
Yeah, because it was more, well, not like it was like a dance music album, but it was definitely more like digitally recorded and studio produced.
Yeah, it was very like Britpop, I think. But it's like, don't get me wrong, I absolutely love it, but I do think that kind of changed the overall sound of the band once they got into the recording studio, I think.
Yeah, it's definitely. But I mean, like Destination. Anyway, I think if that wasn't John Bon Jovi, I think that album would have got. Well, not that it could shit on, but I think it's because he couldn't really shake the stigma of Bon Jovi. But I think it's pretty good.
Yeah, I do. It's one that I love listening to. Like kind of when I'm relaxed. Destination anyway. Hey God gets you kind of going. Destination anyway is quite like a chilled out album, I find. So I've always liked Destination Anywhere a lot, to be honest with you.
For my number 2 greatest Bon Jovi song of all time, I'm going for the very Rolling Stones sounding "I'll Sleep When I'm Dead" from
wow.
Keep the Faith.
Yeah. What's the reason for that?
I don't know. It's just something because very often they get accused a lot of being like sort of cheesy 80s rock pop.
Yeah.
But this is then when you get to see sort of not the dark side of them, but sort of like the more attitude side of Bon Jovi.
Yeah, I see what you mean with that. I must admit that I've always found that one of the weaker songs on the Keep the Faith album, to be honest with you. I don't know why. Yeah, it's just that I think, but Keep the Faith album's so strong, isn't it? So it is hard to even say there's a bad song on it. In all honesty,
there's just something about that song. See, that's the sort of Bon Jovi that I like, the '90s era.
Yeah.
But when they didn't seem to be trying to be commercial, but then again, you can't blame them, you know.
Yeah, but I agree with you there. I think that's kind of when they released. I always remember seeing a quote, and John said that for the These Days album was like the darkest time of his life, and obviously he wasn't chasing. I don't think he was chasing a hit. Maybe with This Ain't a Love Song, but apart from that, I don't think he was chasing a hit with that album. And I think that's why I like the '90s so much. You see a band kind of just giving their all in the studio.
What do you think he meant by darkest time of his career?
I don't know. I must admit, I've always thought there's a bit of a message behind the These Days album. Kind of in his personal life, that's the message I've always got. You know, just with the lyrics of a lot of songs, I always related it to him, John and Dorothea, to be honest with you. And again, I could be totally wrong, but I always, whenever I listen to the album and listen to some of the lyrics, I just think whether he was going through a bad patch at home, because obviously, you know, before the Keep the Faith album, that was the worst time for the band, wasn't it? They were close to splitting up then, so surely it must be something in his personal life, and I think that's kind of his dark part there.
So what is your all-time number one?
Okay, so
Bon Jovi song?
My number one, and I must admit, I never really used to like this song, and then all of a sudden I put it on one night, and it really got me. It was Always. It was one of them songs I think that you kind of heard on the music stations, obviously growing up being a fan, and I was like, yeah, it's good, but I much prefer such and such. And I just remember one night when I was about 13, 14, so it was quite late really. I had my iPod on shuffle and Always come on, and it literally blew me away. And then I started listening to the Wembley version, you know, from '95, and it's still to this day my favourite live performance ever. And that's kind of why it's number one for me. Again, the vocals, the songwriting, even the video I love, to be honest with you. There's a bit of a story in the video, which you don't really see in Bon Jovi videos anymore. I think Always is always going to be my number one, to be honest with you.
And plus, the lady from the video Always has now been in about 19 films with The Rock.
Has she? Yeah, I love The Rock.
Have you seen San Andreas?
Yeah.
That lady's, the ex-wife is the lady from the Always video.
Is it?
Yeah.
No way.
And I couldn't believe it either, because she hasn't aged in about 30 years or whatever.
Oh, I didn't know that. Yeah, I've seen, like, I must admit, The Rock's one of my favourite actors. I've always loved The Rock. I had no idea. Wow. learn something new.
My number one Bon Jovi song of all time, also from the Keep the Faith album,
Okay.
In These Arms.
Oh wow. Okay.
I just think that song is so it's like it keeps building and building. Like it starts off, you think, oh, this is going to be like a bed of roses, I'll be there for you type ballad, and then it just starts rocking again, and you go, oh fuck yeah,
yeah. In These Arms is an absolutely brilliant song. Yeah, I agree with how good it is there. I must admit, again, live, I think it's obviously it's played at like a step down, isn't it? So I don't know whether that's always why I've never really put it in like that top category for me, because live I don't think it has the same power anymore. But I think on the Keep the Faith album as a single, it is fantastic, and John's vocals at the end every single time blow me away. I don't know how many times I keep saying his vocals blow me away or a song does, but it genuinely does. Like just thinking of it now, it's something I miss now. Actually, to be honest, like a vocal like that.
yeah. But I think he's without a doubt the most underrated singer in rock music today, because you never hear people talking about his voice.
No, I mean, do you know what? It's funny you should say that. I was in a taxi before coming down, and the taxi driver just started talking to me, and he was saying he tried to buy Pink tickets for his wife. So we got talking, and obviously she's playing Anfield, so that's how the conversation come up. And we were talking, I was saying, I hope Bon Jovi play. And he was like, oh my, what a voice, underrated voice. And that's the first time I have ever heard anybody say that about John's voice, who I don't know personally, or who isn't a fan, do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because he didn't even know they were still going, to be honest with you. So we're being for a bit of a shock if he expects the same voice, but absolutely amazing. Like just hearing somebody say how good John's vocals are, it's like quite a shock, really.
Yeah, specific like Bed of Roses alone. Like if you don't pay attention to the lyrics, because see the thing about Bed of Roses, it's amazing that he released that song, because lyrically he's fucking saying, "Oh yeah, I'm cheating on my wife, but it's okay because I miss her."
Yeah.
And then there's that weird bit when he says, "The what is it? The hotel bar."
Oh yeah.
Give me the eye. She's wearing a wig. It's like we laughing at the wig.
Yeah. See, again, though, it's interesting you should say that, because obviously you're saying Bed of Roses was released. You can't think it was released, about him cheating on his wife. But that's what I mean. It's no coincidence that was the album before These Days. And that's what I was saying. I think there's a message behind These Days. It's almost like a sorry. I don't know. That's the kind of gist I got from it. Heart's breaking even. It's hard letting you go. It's like things like something to believe in. We need something to believe in. I just think, again, like if that's what it takes, damned if you love me, damned if you don't. I just think there's a message behind them songs. I always have, to be honest with you. Give me something for the pain. There's got to be something.
Now it's time to talk to the great Dave Landau. This guy is hilarious. It was amazing that he took time to speak to me. I'm hoping he comes back again someday. We seem to get along over our mutual love of Frank Stallone. Dave, you had lovely big full lips. Hello. Thanks for coming on the podcast. I'm sure you're an enormous fan.
I am.
Thank you.
Talked online.
I know. It's pretty interesting, all my stuff about superhero films, eh?
Yes.
Let me ask you, with the way the whole addiction to the social justice warrior is these days, is it tough being a comedian in America?
Very. Yeah. In fact, I just wrote a tweet about how funny I thought it was that Elizabeth Warren, who claimed to be Native American, and turned out she was like 0%, also was giving out recipes at some point for powwow chow from her Native American ancestors, which it turned out was actually stolen from a French cookbook. So I just made a comment about how it sounded about authentic to Cherokee tribe, as cream of some young guy did to the Chinese. And immediately a comment was from a comedian that was basically like offended by it, where it's like, no, man, I'm just making jokes, like how comedians used to do before it was the popular thing, to just take some extreme side. And yeah, it sucks, man. Like, I mean, people are so overly sensitive now, and I think that comes in a lot of different forms, not just in stand-up comedy, but you can definitely see it from the stage. And usually, the people that you make a joke about, whether it's like, whether it's, let's say that they're black, gay, whatever, they're not the ones that are offended. It's a social justice warrior who has to stand up for everybody, who's usually a white lady. That's the biggest problem.
But do you think they're actually offended, or or do you think it's just a race to be? Oh wait, I'm offended first. That's racist. They go, shit! I wanted to claim transphobia.
That's exactly it. I don't think they're offended at all. I think it's being addicted to outrage is what it is, and a lot of people just don't have a personality. So in lieu of having to get one, what they decide to do is jump on other people and just be offended and be outraged, and it works for them. It's sad, and there's a lot of people like that.
I think the problem is with stuff like social media, especially Twitter. People are lonely, so they'll sit on the toilet having a big hangover, and they'll
Yeah.
go, "Oh, I was very offended by that latest episode of Two and a Half Men," and sit there, and then as they're wiping their, they'll check their retweets, and there's like 60 thumbs up or whatever, and they go, "Oh, it's a good day. I'll not take those pills anymore."
Exactly. I'll only have to take half a pill. I want to kill myself less today. That's really all it comes down to. Is I think that there's a lot of people who are friendless and unliked, and that's the only way that they get positive reinforcement is by jumping on the bandwagon of something. And likes is actually what gives them what they need to get through their day. I mean, I wish fucking social media didn't exist, but I think to a lot of people, it's what keeps them from being lonely. It's not easy to get likes either. All you have to do is write something that a bunch of people will believe. That's it.
Exactly. But I'd also like to take this time to plug I'm at the Hughezy on Instagram for anyone listening.
And I'm at DT Landau.
And I am at the Hughezy. So, but one of the more recent outrages, like, and to be honest, like, I'm not full on the right, but I'm also not like left or anything.
Yeah.
The recent Norm MacDonald controversy with the whole Netflix thing. What was your take on all that?
Dude, Norm just did what Norm does. I mean, he made a joke in a very Norm fashion and then got jumped on for it to the point that, Fallon canceled his Tonight Show appearance. The fact that we reacted to Norm MacDonald for doing what Norm MacDonald does, I think it shows that our country no longer understands satire and they don't understand comedy. Because if you're not getting the sarcasm and the wit of Norm MacDonald, we're not getting humor anymore. And if we're taking everything at face value, what's the point of making a joke? That's what a joke is.
True, but one thing I've got to say, I do think, and this is very hypocritical of me, but I do think that Norm went a little far in that. I don't know if you heard his Stern appearance, because Stern,
when he said Down syndrome because he didn't want to say retard or whatever.
Yeah, he's like, for me to really think those things, I would have to have the Down syndrome, and that's when I thought, oh, Norm, that's a bit much. He goes, I meant retard. It's okay.
I just thought it was another hilarious thing because, okay, if it was on accident, I'd be shocked. And part two is if it was just to do the great non-apology apology, I think it's hilarious. I just think holding comedians like him to some kind of standard. This is a guy who, for years, went on SNL and made very blunt OJ murderer and Michael Jackson pedophile jokes. This is what he does. It's what made us love him.
And one of the great things about Norm is that he helped us all realize just how handsome Hitler actually was.
It's true.
Yeah.
And also that, I can't think of his name. David Hasselhoff is huge in Germany. We would have not known that without Norm MacDonald.
Or the fact that Frank Stallone exists.
Yeah, that's true. Not many people know of these soundtracks of Staying Alive. So without Norm, we would not know that.
You guessed it, Frank Stallone.
But funniest man in America for the third year in a row is Frank Stallone.
But speaking of jokes about like gay and black people, people who don't actually use those words, what was it like when you get hired to replace Artie Lange? Did you feel much pressure doing that?
You mean to use those words?
Yeah, well, words like them.
Pressure, like I guess, like pressure replacing him, or the fact that he did use those words.
Just replacing them on the Anthony Cumia show.
Oh, huge pressure, man. He was a giant fan base from the Stern years. So I knew the second that I can't. I mean, I'm still feeling pressure. You know, there's plenty of people that are going to hate me no matter what. I mean, there's plenty of people that are going to hate me because I'm not Jim Norton, and I'm. Yeah, I guess Opie's a different story. Plenty of people like me because I'm not him. People seem to really not like that guy. I don't know him personally, but seems to be a bit of a trend. But yeah, huge pressure. And then I didn't really know I was replacing him, to be honest with you. I came in as a third mic, and then we were on for 3 weeks together until Artie got arrested. And then for whatever reason, I became the Anthony Cumia show with Dave Landau. I think because of his schedule of having to go and piss like whenever they call him. I don't think he can do the show.
Yeah, and then to be honest, like I love Artie, but it was getting to a point in that show where it was like it wasn't getting funny anymore, and it's like he needs to go away and maybe see a doctor instead of being trading the N-word with Anthony.
Yeah, I definitely I'm from Detroit, so it's not a word that I like to throw out a lot. I'll make or ever really. I mean, I'll happily make as many jokes as possible about stuff like that because I think it's funny. I think anything can be made fun of. I have no problem with any jokes whatsoever. But yeah, when you hear it 40 times a day, you're like, oh Jesus, I hope certain of my friends who I know subscribed aren't listening to this one. Because I've had people call me after and be like, really, Dave? That was like 18 times in the first half hour. Not from me, thank God, because I'm still alive when I go home.
It needs to be renamed the neck word because it actually hurts your neck if you say it in public because it's like my ex-girlfriend now she's going out with a and fuck.
Yeah, whenever somebody comes up to me after a show and goes, I got a joke for you and starts with this, I'm like, oh good, this is going to be something that's going to go right on stage.
But I gotta tell you, personally, I hate the N-word, and I don't mean what the N-word stands for. I mean I hate the term the N-word because it's offensive to racists.
It is. I agree.
Us racists have tried for hundreds of years to ensure that word just cuts right to the bone, and now we can't even say it. It's discrimination.
Yeah, it's definitely meant to sting a bit, and you don't want to take the teeth out of it. You can't have the Igor without the N, as I like to always say.
Yeah, or just start calling them Ginger.
That's true. That's my wife is a redhead, and I think that is an equally offensive term to the redheads. You're an Irish person. Do you hate the term ginger?
I was born Irish, but I identify as Filipino.
Me too. I'm glad we're on the same page. I knew we had a connection.
# me too.
Me as well.
Would you say, like, I'm a big Anthony fan for years now, but would you say he's probably the funniest non-comedian around?
Oh, absolutely, 100%. I think he's the greatest disc jockey. I don't even know if I want to call it that, shock jock, I guess you could say, to ever live. Like, he's better than Stern. He's better than anybody. He was like my number one once I heard him. Like, I was always a Stern fan. I grew up with Drew and Mike in Detroit, Dominski and Doyle, some stuff that was really good, Bob and Tom. But there's nobody who's as good and as fast at radio and broadcasting as Anthony. I've never met anybody even close.
And the thing that I like about Anthony so much is that he's real. Like, Howard Stern was exposed as full of shit.
Especially recently, yeah.
Yeah, and with Anthony, he actually is that sort of that guy who was drunk on the show or yelling about the blacks or whatever. That's
Yeah.
how he is.
And look, we won't get certain guests because they'll have criteria to meet, and Anthony just says, no, go fuck yourself. Because he's not going to change his point of view to get somebody on his show. He is who he is unapologetically, and you don't see that anymore.
Do you know if there's ever any plans for Anthony to maybe tour the show, maybe like internationally, like over here in Ireland?
Dude, I would love to. I mean, we're definitely working on kind of a comedians of compound thing where we tour, where it's like Gino, myself, Kevin, Aaron, like everybody who does stand up, you know. But I think it would be really cool if we did like remote broadcasts. I really think that would be awesome. I'd be for it 100%.
Well, why do you think Anthony himself's never gone into stand-up comedy? Because he pretty much has material on everything, yet he's never gone on stage.
You know, that's the weirdest thing about him, and it kind of goes unanswered, but he's alluded to the fact that it just terrifies him. Like it's weird because he performs in a band, he goes on stage to do broadcasts, he has no problem public speaking, any of that stuff, but for some reason, the stand-up thing just is something that I just he doesn't see himself doing, which shocks everyone except him, because I think he would be an amazing comedian. I think he already is an amazing comedian, just not in the stand-up format.
Would you like to hear the joke that made me decide to never go into stand-up?
What's that?
Like, now this is badly unfunny, so get ready to this is going to make your just tighten up like that. So
did you write it?
Oh no, it was somebody else said it, and let's just say she was unmale.
Okay.
And here's the joke where she stands up and she goes, yeah, so some guy that I just met at work tried to add me on Snapchat. Yeah, that's what I need. Another way for a man to demean me. And it got an applause break.
Oh.
And I was like, that's not a fucking joke.
It's not an anything. Oh God, what was this on? Was it? Where did you hear this?
No, this was at like an open mic thing here in Ireland, and because I had all my jokes and they're all like offensive stuff, and I thought, well, fuck it, I can't do this.
So you guys are kind of experiencing the same deal then, the same social justice warrior, the same political correctness to some degree.
Well, they're trying, but then at the same time, they forget that the majority of people in Ireland are short-tempered, mentally ill people with drink problems.
I am part Irish. I've heard.
Oh. So it's like get offended all you want, but at the end of the day, your dad owns a gun.
Yeah, that's very true. You did drinks and fires up shop. Fantastic.
Like nobody who can grow a beard from the age of 8 is allowed to now be offended by a joke about.
Yeah, that's very true.
And that's just the women.
Yeah, plus when you have to avoid sunlight as much as you guys, I don't imagine you can be happy all the time.
But I gotta ask you this because it'd be crazy not to. There's been a guy on YouTube. His name's Base Frequency, I think he's called himself, and he's been making this documentary series he's been making these documentary series on Anthony. Yeah, it's they call the Demented World, and he's up to like part 5 or 6 or 7, and it's pretty crazy. Like I think, unless I heard it wrong, he actually filmed Anthony's house.
Really?
Yeah, which is I thought it was a bit full on, you know.
Is this the same guy who made like the Joe Matarese one and the Jim Norton one?
I don't think it's the same one, but I think they maybe work in tandem. Tandem.
Jesus, yeah, no.
Yeah, but you should Google it because when I had Joe Cumia was on, and they did an episode specifically about Joe, and it was like 50 minutes long, and all it did was call him a pedophile and say "Feed Nana" over and over again.
Oh yeah, there's the Feed Nana group. I don't know who that is. I know that they call him Nana, and there's the Feed Nana hashtag, and I think it stems from somebody that was fired from the show, or fired from compound media. I don't know who it is, but there's definitely people out there with like a deep obsession, like a psychosexual obsession with them that I can't wrap my head around. Like there's trolling, and then there's the O&A universe, which is just like there's fun mentally ill, and then there's just these people should drop being dead mentally ill, and that's what half these people are. Like if you're spending that much time making a documentary about another man, you seriously have got to get your head checked. That's not normal behavior.
Yeah, to me, like, I didn't really know. I mean, I was aware of the documentaries, of course, but I didn't know that they actually go after people's jobs. Like, I didn't know that they would get Joe Cumia fired from gigs and stuff.
Yeah, I did a TV commercial recently, and somebody had randomly called the company, which by the way, the people who you want to with, they're people that are in Detroit construction, but they called them at random and said that I was part of a racist podcast, and then racially insulted the black woman who answered the phone at the company. And they thought that we didn't know who it was, but they have caller ID. Like the person tried to block it, but it's a company who can just find out who called, and they did. And you know, instead of bringing on legal issues or even caring, you just ignore the guy because he's useless. But you know, they really do try to go above and beyond to ruin people's lives, but they don't have any power to actually do it. It's kind of crazy.
But one of the things that I always find crazy is that a lot of Anthony haters also complain about social justice warriors, yet they get offended by anything Anthony says or does, or tweets or Instagrams or anything.
Oh yeah, I've noticed that too. Yeah, and that's the thing about Anthony is really like, yeah, he makes offensive jokes, but he always has. That's why he and I clicked, is we both like to make offensive jokes and try to top one another, and it's a good time. Like it's just something different than what's out there right now. There's nothing wrong with doing what we do. There's nothing wrong with doing what other people do. It's just, but yeah, you're right. So many people jump on being offended, and so many people who claim to be not PC are some of the most politically correct people I see on social media.
Would you like to hear my favorite racist joke?
Yes, I'd love to.
So this gentleman is chased into a Starbucks by these 6 skinheads, and they've all got these pipes and sticks, and they corner him and they beat him and they kick him, and it's horrible. So he's been taken away in an ambulance, and the police officer is interviewing people, and he says to the manager, "Hey, why didn't you help out?" And the manager goes, "Well, I thought 6 was enough."
You want to hear my favorite one?
Please.
Okay. What did the Jewish pedophile say to the little boy? Hey, you want to buy some candy?
And just as we're wrapping up here, yeah, I've got one final question. Is it so obviously I follow you on Twitter, and the other day you were at the Springsteen show on Broadway.
Yeah.
Are you a big Springsteen fan?
Yeah, I'm a fan of all kinds of music, but I was more of a fan of him just to see what his one-man show would be. Like, I am a fan of his music, yes.
Well, what do you think of the rumors? And I honestly think these could turn out to be true, that next year it's the 35th anniversary of Born USA. So the big rumors that there's going to be an anniversary tour of that album, like he did with The River.
Yeah. I would probably say 100%. I mean, that's kind of why I wanted to see him in this venue, because it was 800 seats. It was like, I mean, it's like he was talking to me. The only other 2 times I've seen him, they were like 40,000 seat venues. So, or like I think 25,000 and like 35,000. So to see him in an intimate setting, I figured it was a once in a lifetime thing. But I think he would tour with that. I think it'd be foolish not to. I bet his fans would go crazy.
Yeah, the last time I went to see him, he played here in Ireland. He played Croke Park, 87,000 people.
Yeah, that's what I mean, man. It's like that dude can. You're never gonna. I don't think he's played an 800-seat theater in 40 years, 30 years. So it's pretty damn cool to see him tell his life story in that way.
Yeah, but if he doesn't come here and if he doesn't play "I'm on Fire" because I've never heard that song played live, I'm gonna come to America. I'm gonna buy a bottle of whiskey and I'm gonna shove it up his arse, and then I'm gonna kick him in the stomach until it breaks.
If he doesn't tour and play that live, I'll go with you because I've never heard it live either. And I saw the River tour, and I saw this, and yeah, I'm still yet to hear that song live, and it's a fucking great song.
It's my number one. It's my favorite Bruce song of all time. From the Working Man.
It's great because in his one-man show, he opens with, "Hey, I've never had a real job, and I've been playing music since I was like 16, so I made this all up." And it's really what's interesting is all of his music is based on his dad, like it's through his dad's point of view, because he grew up in a low-income family in New Jersey to blue-collar working people, and that's what he experienced. But he didn't experience it firsthand. He really only experienced it as the son of one. So it's all through his dad's eyes. It's a really cool and interesting story the way he explains it.
And just this the final question before I let you go. You mentioned you're going to go see Nine Inch Nails later. Do you think we're ever going to get a Nine Inch Nails Christmas song?
I hope so. I Want to Crucify You Like an Animal. That would be pretty good. I think there's ways to make it work. I mean, Hurt is a little Christmassy for the suicides around the holidays.
Hurt's actually about that you have on Boxing Day after eating meat all day.
I think that's actually true.
Tell Anthony I'll speak to him soon because Keith the Cop said that they're helping me get him on this for maybe later in the month.
I'll put a word in for you, man.
Thank you. So there you go, that's episode 11. Make sure you follow everybody on the social media. Make sure you follow me on the social media. Make sure you check out Creative Control. If you're watching on YouTube, give us a thumbs up. If you listen to this on iTunes, make sure you give it a 5-star review because that just helps promote the show. And it doesn't cost you anything to do that. But if you do want to spend money on stuff, go check out the Patreon because all that shit helps. It's Hughezy. Bye-bye.